All right, in part two, I'm going to talk about probably my favorite part of the car, the interior. I know it sounds a bit crazy considering there's a 1200 horsepower V8 behind me, but you know, you spend the most time looking at the interior, touching the interior, interacting with the interior. You know, noise and the way electronics interact with you is, I think, really important to the whole driving experience. You know, it's easy to build a really fast car that's a race car, you know, loud inside, hot, you know, a lot of the factory stuff doesn't work, but it's harder to make it all work together as if, you know, anybody can pick up a key and drive the car. So do a quick tour of electronics and the interior and what I did there, and then so this is part two of three, and then next will be the most fun part for most of you guys, would be motor, turbos, gearbox, rear chassis, suspension, all that kind of good stuff. So without further ado, let's look at the interior of this thing. All right, so starting off here, refinished the door panels. You can see I did Alcantara elbow rest, green stitching, matches the car. Painted all the plastic stuff that's normally silver, piano black, or that's what it's called, I guess, but it's really just black clear coat, but clear coat, so it's nice and shiny, although dirty right now. And then I wrapped these in vinyl carbon look wrap. It's not real carbon. I know it's cheesy, but it looks pretty good. Although you can see from the temperature, I see a couple wrinkles in there, but looks pretty good, a lot better than the factory crap. And it was $10 for the material, and I could redo it a bunch of times until I get it perfect if I really wanted to. Before I hop in, show you some of this stuff. So factory frunk and trunk, or engine bay, I guess now in this case. This is the e-brake knob. You turn it right, turn it on, turn it left. You can see get in there, the e-brake caliper back, the little wood caliper. So converted to electric e-brake for a bunch of reasons, mainly clean up the interior, no handle, looks a lot better. Carbon Tillet B5 seats. They don't look like they'd be that comfortable, but actually they are. Even my girlfriend's surprised. And the reason I went with this bare of a seat, obviously they're lightweight, like 8-9 pounds, something like that, which is great. But the real reason is clearance in the back. Having just this thin carbon lets you push the seat way back. I'm 6'2". One of the downsides to these conversions on these Caymans is you end up pushing either the engine back or the driver forward, which sucks. So with being 6'2", I have to have the seat all the way back. There's no way. So some other tricks I did with the Firewall plus the thin carbon seat, I was able to get the motor far enough forward so the axles are all at the correct angles, which is super important for reliability. And I fit like a glove. Like I'm 6'2", I'm super comfortable. A couple other things from this angle, kind of random, more carbon wrap here. Again, all the plastic was done in black. All the headlights, everything, all this stuff is pretty factory. Hanging down right here, a little 3-pin Deutsch connector. This is actually CAN bus, so I can sniff the CAN bus, which is a lot of how you make all the factory stuff work. And it just tucks up in there. I was using it the other day, so it's hanging down, but it just tucks up right in. It's got an aftermarket stereo, so I've got you know, ability to do voice, all the kind of normal stuff you expect out of a modern car. What else from this angle? Maybe get in the car and show you some of the other goodies. All right, here's the fun view. So this is a GT2 steering wheel out of a 997. I think it was already black when I got it. I can't remember if I painted it or not. It's been a while. You see on the left side is labeled anti-lag. So another video showed me using this. Basically, you pull this, go full throttle, and the car will not accelerate. Opens the throttle body all the way, but it retards the timing and dumps a bunch of fuel in the motor to spool the turbos without actually the car accelerating, and then you just let go and the car takes off. Builds a bunch of boost, makes the car haul ass when you're doing like a roll race. Not labeled because I haven't made the labels yet. This side does a front camera. You can see right there. It doesn't come across the phone very good, but that camera peeks out of the front grille and points almost straight down. So I can pull right up to a curb in a parking spot or whatever, not about smashing the front splitter. I've had a bunch of lowered cars, so it's not something I'd normally do, but pretty cool, nice. I mean, I can just pull right up to the curb and no big deal. And of course, it's got, you know, reverse camera too. You know, so there's backwards. See my truck behind me. Nothing super fancy, but all stuff works, which is nice. 3D printed surround on the dash, so kind of fits right in. I may wrap this one day in leather, so make it fit in a little better, but more of the carbon fiber stuff. Dash is all Alcantara green stitching, matches the door. All this stuff is Alcantara green stitching. So let's see, on the steering wheel here, other stuff we got. Again, this knob unfortunately isn't labeled yet. It's going to be soon, but you see the number right there. It's on 6. What that is that's a power setting. So I have 0 through 9 set up with this switch. And then that actually shows up on the dash. Hopefully you guys can see it. That number right in the middle right there says 8595. And what that means is that in setting 6, I have 850 foot-pounds in second and 950 in third. So that, and I know what first is, and then fourth on is all 950. So you'll see if I click this guy down, you see it drop to 8095 and 8090 and so on. So I can set the power levels I want all the way up to, I think I have 1 kW or 95, yeah, 95, 1 kW. So anyway, just kind of leave it on this for the street most of the time, although it hooks pretty good most of the time at 90, 95. And then next one down is track launch. So this has 9 settings as well, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And basically what it does, I'll show you on another screen. I'll go back and explain the different screens, but you can see the 85, 95 again, same thing, power level, and then the bottom 25, 12. What that means on this traction and launch setting, it'll launch at 2500 RPM. If I just floor it from a stop, it'll just go to 25, and it's like launch control. And it'll give me 12% slip. So I could do 10% slip, 8% slip, or if I wanted to launch the car hardest, I'm at the drag strip. 25 is pretty good on the street, but maybe I'm at the drag strip, I want to go up to 3, 35, etc. So I leave it at 25 and 12. On the street, I can pretty much just floor it, rev it up. It just sits at 2500, dump the clutch, and never lift. Traction control, launch control takes care of everything. So, and then we've got a launch button, which basically it does the opposite of launching. Launch mode's automatic. If I'm at a stop, I push the clutch in and I go full throttle, it will go to launch mode automatically. If I go like quarter throttle, it'll rev like you'd expect. If I hold this button down, it'll rev no matter what. It'll do burnouts, all that kind of stuff. So this basically eliminates all launch control stuff. And then page, as you saw, is cycling through the pages on the dash. That's what that guy does. So let me see if I can get in here a little more detailed. So it's hard to tell, unfortunately. I wonder if I can make it light up. Let me show you the headlights for a second. See the little headlight blue icon on the right there? So I have normal automotive icons up and down. This is hard to tell, but there's low fuel, it blinks red, got headlights, turns blue obviously. If the e-brake is on, turn it on right now, you can hear it tightening down. It says e-brake on and the red light flashes. That way if I say I'm in reverse, this is gonna be the front camera, but say I'm in reverse and I lose that warning, that blinks, which I know the e-brake is on so I don't screw up. And, let's see, what else is on there? There's check engine light, low oil, water temperature, all kind of normal stuff. So this is the main dash I look at. You get RPM, boost, kind of normal stuff you'd expect. The shift lights are across the top here. It starts off yellow or green, yellow, red, or green, yellow, orange, blue. So it goes left to right. Basically, it comes to the center. When it hits the center, they turn blue. That's shift. The whole screen turns blue and says shift. You probably seen that in my other videos. 50 RPM before the shift point, and then 50 RPM after the shift point, which is 50 before the rev limiter. It turns all red. So it's blue shift. The whole screen's blue. Then it turns red right before you hit the rev limiter. Makes it to where you can look straight ahead, not look at the dash, and not miss your shift points, because these LEDs are really freaking bright. So you see them working their way to the center, and then you see them turn blue, then this whole screen turns blue. So don't have to stare at the dash. All the kind of normal stuff, fuel level in gallons, oil temperature, stuff like that. Then go page. And these are all configurable. Still playing with it. This is kind of like my big information page. It's got gearbox temperature and fuel temperature and boost aim and boost pressure and fuel composition, E85, which looks like I have E75 right now. Power level, traction. I have speed in kilometers an hour and mile an hour, and actually one of these is off the Motec and one is off the chassis itself, so I can make sure they're the same. If I'm logging at the track, predictive lap time, best lap time, fuel mixture, stuff like that. IET, all that kind of stuff you want to know when you're tuning the car, trying to diagnose a problem. Of course, you can put laptop up too. And then this is my drag race screen, which I haven't really configured yet. I just threw some stuff up here, but this is in theory. If you want to look at your fuel mixture, you make it really big, right? You don't really care. Again, we have all the rest of the stuff for shifting, so you don't need to necessarily be able to see the tack clearly. You may want to know boost pressure and your fuel mixture. I don't know. I haven't used it yet. I don't think I will. I think the main screen is really the best. And then because I'm in my garage, it's still searching for satellites. So it's got GPS, which I only would use for like track mapping and stuff like that. I use the factory wheel speeds for actual speed. So I'll go back to the main screen. So how this all integrates basically with the paddles and all that kind of trick stuff. All this stuff goes to the steering wheel. There's no extra. You can see there's no cords or anything. It all goes through the factory clock spring. That was a pain in the ass. But so I've tapped into the factory Porsche CAN bus, so I get all the data off it, sends it both to Motec, which Colling Murphy did the Motec firmware for me, so it has all the information there, but also it's tapped off and goes to the dash, so I get directly the information there. And then some of the stuff like gear position and other stuff I've calculated and coming out of the Motec. So they're all on CAN bus. Basically everything's connected by 2 wires, super slick. All these sensors, there's one set of sensors, and I can read all of them off the Porsche factory CAN bus if they're Porsche. If they're aftermarket, they go out to the Motec, and the Motec distributes over CAN, so there's only a couple wires that really run to this thing. Pretty nice. What else here? Oh yeah, so there's a bunch of other functions this dash does, like settings, I guess is the best way to describe it. And the buttons are hidden because they're actually on the back of the dash. So in order to make it work and blend that in real nice, make it look kind of factory, the switches are actually, those switches you're missing. So I have this one, this page, but all the rest of the switches you normally have in there, like memory, settings, a bunch of stuff you can do if you don't want your laptop out. I hid them behind, this is an Alcantara closeout panel here. It's I don't know if you can tell, but it's soft and push into it. But right here, I can feel them. You can't see them, but there's 3 buttons, and they're hidden behind this Alcantara. So they're the exact same thing as this. So it's got 3D, kind of 3D feel to them. You can feel the button. It's a nice billet button, but they're actually hidden behind this Alcantara right there, 1, 2, 3. So I never have to use them, really. I use my laptop to program the thing. But if I ever did need to use them, I could click these buttons and scroll through memory and settings and stuff in the dash and get all that stuff going straightforward. But it's hidden. You know, I didn't want that. It's not, again, it's not a race car. Only want the stuff I really need to be out. All the factory airbags and stuff are installed. Aftermarket stereo. I walked through the amp before, but I basically got these A-pillar pods. You can see here, they're aimed right at me. Got they're like a 1-inch tweeter, then I got a 3-inch mid, or I guess it'd be a 3-inch, really kind of a high range, I guess you call it, and then 6.5-inch mid, and then tucked between me is a 10-inch JLW. Was it 10W? 10.5 W3, something like that. I don't know. It's a W3, but it's the flat version. I forget what they call that guy. You can see it's flushed into this panel, and I'll probably see if I can back it a little bit. But you can see the sub enclosure actually starts up here. You can see this kind of 3-dimensional feel, wraps around the seats, runs down, and the enclosure actually didn't stop till here. So it's got good volume, or good good size matched to the subwoofer. I forgot. It's like almost 0.6 of a cubic foot or something like that, but it's fiberglass, so it's kind of hard to tell because it's all black Alcantara, so it kind of blends in, but it's got a big curve to it. It's all blends real nicely in the shape of the seat you can see around here. And it's got enough room for my elbow to sit, and it's a nice little armrest. Gated shifter, makes cool sounds. Not as fast as shift, especially a sequential, but it goes pretty good. Makes cool sounds, of course, really important. Reverse is manual right now. You can push that switch, hard to do with my phone, but push that, I go reverse. Reverse light comes on automatically. I could, electrify this guy, or if I wanted to, put a solenoid, automate with a solenoid or something, but haven't messed with it. It's no big deal. All the factory AC buttons and all this stuff works. There's no more eco mode, and there's no PSM and rear wing, so those buttons don't do anything. I might do something with someday, but for now, they just don't do anything. But the AC and heater and all that stuff work as you'd expect. A little magnet for my phone, so I can stick it on there and listen to Bluetooth, maps, whatever I want to do, or I can mirror it on that screen, although I like using my phone. It's just, I don't know, the touch is better. This knob goes to the JL tweaks. This is for the stereo, so this is analog volume here, and this is analog subwoofer control. So this is subwoofer level on the outer ring subwoofer, inner ring master volume. I like the knob versus trying to push these stupid buttons. And I can program, this is blue, which is driver right now. If you click it once, it turns like a lighter blue, which is passenger, and I have like 9 settings, so I can optimize the sound profile for different types of music or for which side of the car the person's in. Sounds really killer. Relatively lightweight, like not that much stuff, just really well tuned. It's 3 speakers in the doors. Go over a little more what I did with sound and keep the thing quiet. But all this stuff is all black and all kind of factory. Alcantara headliner. Just wrap the factory one, pretty straightforward to do, but it's nice, really cleans up the car. Again, this is like important for me to be like, I don't know, this is just awesome sitting in this thing, and it just feels right when you drive it. So it feels like a hot rod. So center console comes out pretty easy when I need it to come out. Got a fire extinguisher. I don't know if I'm pessimistic or just a realist, but shit happens, man. And I hate to burn down the car. What else? So you can see through here, you can kind of see the, let me see. Yeah, it's dark in there. There you go. See that little tab? So that's a hole for the harness. On the driver's side, I've got eye hooks on there, so you can hook up a harness to the car. And so when you're at the track, you can put a 5-point in the car, or 6-point actually, and be safe. And then I've got all the factory belts as well. So works like just all the factory stuff. Then you just click in the harness and go at it for the track. I've got all the Motec. There's a relay box. You can probably see, maybe not, it's too dark. But anyway, there's the relay box under there. Motec's under there. Basically all the aftermarket electronics, if they're not something you interact with, like the dash, are under the seat. Did that because I knew there's a lot of stuff to learn. You know, it's not like a plug and play you buy from, you know, from Motec for like a Huracan or something where you just plug it in and you're done. I didn't know what I was going to need. You know, the engine's easy to make it run off the Motec, but making all the electronics work the way I wanted with the factory stuff was actually pretty difficult. So I wanted plenty of room for the Motec and anything else I wanted under there, be able to add circuits and things as I realized I screwed something up or needed to add functionality or wanted to add functionality. And then also plenty of room for wiring. Again, it's not a super neat loom. You can't see it's all under there, but it's okay. I mean, I did the best job I could, but at the end of the day, there's a bunch of extra wires in there. There's, you know, extra 2 feet of wire in some cases because I changed the way I wired the car. Like I have launch control in the car with the clutch system. I'll explain that in a second, but Motec used to control that. I switched it to the dash using one of the outputs on it because it was just easier to do. I mean, that's, you know, no big deal really, but if I had made the harness super tidy, I probably couldn't have had the extra link to do that. See, I forgot to mention that when I'm in launch mode, so I go full throttle. You can see me do this in one of my other videos, I think. Go full throttle. It says launch mode across the bottom. Dump the clutch. It goes. I also have it set up to where I have a solenoid on the clutch line, so that only when it's in launch mode and you dump the clutch, it actually releases the clutch a little bit slower for you. So it helps you slip the clutch perfectly the same every time. Helps with wheel hop, brake less parts. It came from Magnus Motorsports. They used a lot of all-wheel drive cars that destroy drive lines. And when I do the back of the car, I'll show you that solenoid. It's a pretty cool setup. So right now the clutch, you know, it acts like it normally would, but I'm in launch mode and I have the foot to the floor with the clutch and I dump it. It'll actually let the clutch go a little slower than normal. And that's all automatically controlled with the dash actually. It used to be controlled by the Motec, and long story short is I moved it to the dash. So what else in here? Big thick piece of glass to make it quiet. It's quiet glass, I guess you will. It's got like a plastic coating on it, a bunch of other stuff to keep the noise down. Some people say, well, you know, why'd you make the window so small? Well, it actually matches up to the wing. Because of the lens on this camera, it looks like it's huge. Actually, I can see way less than you'd think than you can see through this, but the wing blocks the view. So basically, your real eye, when you look through that mirror, through the window, it lines up. Actually, you can see pretty good. See, it lines up right with the wing. So a bigger piece of glass wouldn't help. And hidden inside the firewall is a roll bar. Doesn't meet any kind of like racing specification, but it is 175 DOM, so it's good material. The way it's installed, though, would not meet any racing regulations, but it's still a lot safer having it in there, and it's completely hidden inside the firewall. And if I were to turn it into a race car, I'd probably cut it out and put a real cage in it. But real tidy up in there because you don't see it, so it makes the car look, you know, finished. And then, so the firewall is about 1 3/4 inches thick. So it's got 18 gauge steel on the backside. It's all tack welded together and seam sealed. And then heat rejection material put on the firewall side, which I'll kind of point out when I do that. That part of the build. But then I've got about 1 3/4 inches of foam in the firewall. I'm sorry, Dynamat on the metal on this side. So it's all Dynamated end to end. And then I have about 1.5 inches of foam on top of that. And then I have Dynamat strips all around the outside of the firewall to seal it really good. I mean, you can see it's a pretty tight fit with the interior pieces, but I'll also use Dynamat on all the corners, so it's pretty quiet inside the car. Actually, it doesn't transmit a lot of noise. It's pretty nice. Easy to take apart too. I need to work on. I can pull the interior and the firewall out in probably 15 minutes. I can get both seats out, center console out, firewall out, and I can get to any wiring I might need. I think that's about it for the interior and electronics. Like I said, this stuff means a lot to me because it makes the car pretty enjoyable. It's not too loud. It's loud enough that you know you're driving a serious car, but it's not obnoxious, and you got all those gadgets to play with, and because of electronics, the car drives really well, which is important. Anyway, so that's it for this one, and I will be working on the back of the car for the next one. It'll probably be a bit longer, lots more to look at. I'm not sure even where I'll start. Maybe I'll have to make it a two-piecer. Anyway, looking forward to explaining more about the car, and feel free to post any comments or questions. Love to hear from it. It means a lot. I spent 2 years building this thing and still excited about it as I was on day one, and I love talking about it. So any questions, just give me a shout.